Hi, I'm Kels from my Thermomix Adventures and I am going to cook maple teriyaki salmon with rice and broccoli. We're going to press start cooking and then on my screen, because it's a recipe that's from the American cookie dough, the weights are in ounces, but we don't need to worry about that because the Thermomix has straight away converted to ounces. So although you can't press a button to make it show grams instead of the ounces that are written on the recipe, your weighing scales have automatically changed to ounces. Now, if ever you want to change your scales because maybe you've got a lot of American recipes, you can actually do that in your settings. But for recipes, English ones or any ones that are in grams, your weighing scales will show up in grams, and any that are in ounces, your weighing scales will suddenly change to show ounces like mine has. Right, so we're going to start off with fresh ginger, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to show you a little trick with ginger. So a lot of people don't know how to actually peel ginger, and they would use a knife or like a potato peeler. Grab yourself a spoon, teaspoon, and you just run the teaspoon along it and it just peels off like that. Really easily. And look, I've not lost any ginger at all there. So I'm just pulling off the skin and I've got minimal wastage. I'm gonna peel quite a large chunk of it. I'm then gonna slice my ginger into just little slices. And I've got a food bag here that I'm going to put slices of ginger that I'm not using and put those in the freezer. And then when I've got a recipe that requires ginger, I can just take it out of the freezer and it's ready to go, rather than having to buy fresh ginger all the time or having my leftover ginger go off in the fridge. So I'm just rubbing that. It's all coming off super easy. Okay, so I'm not quite sure how much ginger will be 1 ounce. So let's have a look. That's ½ ounce. Lid on. And 5 seconds, speed 7. Then we've got 3½ ounces of shoyu, don't know if that's how you say it, sauce, which in brackets says Japanese soy sauce. I have no idea what difference it makes if it's Japanese or not, but M&S do actually have one called Japanese style dark soy sauce, so I've gone for that one. So 3½ ounces, 2 ounces of mirin, which is rice wine, 3½ ounces of maple syrup, 5 seconds, speed 2. And then it tells us to put it in a jar and set it aside. Now it's asking me to take an airtight container, put the salmon fillets into it, and then put 5 ounces of the marinade in. So I've just put a clean bowl on there just to use it as a base. The item that's got the salmon in, so your container is going there, and then we need 5 ounces of the reserved marinade. Make sure that you've tared it so it's gone to 0, because obviously you've just put a container on top. So 5 ounces of our little marinade there. And then it says, turn salmon to coat it in the sauce and refrigerate for 30 minutes. So here we go. And let's just... There we go. I'll put the lid on and put that in the fridge. Now we're going to cook down the remaining marinade. And it's 250 Fahrenheit now, so even the temperature's changed because it's an American recipe. It says turn speed selector to speed 1 and then meanwhile follow the next steps. So it says cut parchment paper to fit the Varoma, scrunch your parchment into a ball, put it underwater to dampen it, and that just helps when you're steaming things. And then squeeze to remove any excess and lay it out onto your Varoma tray and set aside ready for when your salmon comes out in half an hour, and this marinade will be used as well. So I've cut this to fit the Varoma tray, and now I'm gonna wet it and crunch it into a ball, and then open it up again and lay it onto the Varoma. So we need to make sure that some of the steam can get through, which this will allow it on the top. So once the marinade is cooked, that smells amazing, you move it into a jar, set it aside, rinse the mixing bowl, and then we're ready to do our rice and steam our broccoli and salmon. Next up is 35 ounces of water. This is going into the bowl because the rice is going to go in here, and that's going to cook the rice. Now, looking inside, that's a litre, okay, it's on the litre mark, so you don't need to measure it in, just pour in up to the 1 litre mark. It's only being used to heat the rice, so it doesn't matter if it's slightly over or slightly under, just the 1 litre mark there. Then we're putting our weighed rice in. We're going to put our Varoma on top, so you put your lid on. Now with the rice, I actually just used a long grain rice. The recipe is a Japanese like sushi rice, which will be more sticky, but I didn't have any in, so I've just used long grain rice, which will be fine. So our Varoma is going here. I'm now going to put broccoli florets on this layer. So I put the broccoli in the bottom of the tray. I want to make sure that there are holes showing so that the steam can come through. Then you put your Varoma tray, so this is the tray. Remove salmon from the fridge, drain and discard the marinade. So here's our salmon. You want to make sure that these holes here are free to let the steam through. Okay, that's then going, if you see the broccoli in there, and then the salmon here, and then it's going to cook for 20 minutes, Varoma temperature. And if you just have a look, Varoma temperature is also the top, if I turn that temperature down, is the top temperature, as well as being the name for this, the Varoma. Okay, so don't get confused if it says Varoma on the temperature, that's what it is. So 20 minutes, Varoma temperature, speed 3. Remove Varoma and set aside, and remember it's going to be steamy, so open it up away from you. Let's have a look at that salmon. That lovely. Okay, and then, so I'm taking off the whole thing, and the little tip, flip the lid, put that down, and then that's going to catch all the water that's going to drip underneath. Next, simmering basket, remove it with a spatula. So I haven't got anywhere to put it at the moment, but just to show you, that's there. And if you come and have a look, here's our rice. And it's nice and fluffy. We've got a little bit of brown on top where the teriyaki marinade has dropped down, but lovely rice there. And remember the tip that if you flip this open and then hook it, you can then actually pour it out. So I'm gonna get something to put that rice in. It says set aside and keep it warm. And then plate up. Here's our teriyaki glaze. Just warm that slightly, either in the microwave or you could put it in a little bowl of hot water or something. Just put that bowl in some hot water. We'll just free it up a bit because it's got quite thick now. And then I'm going to plate this up, put a little bit of this on top, and it's ready to go. So we've got our salmon here, broccoli in here, and our lovely rice there. So let's start to place up. A little bit of the teriyaki glaze. This one there as well. Yum! So there we go.